body. And all the while he'd been playing her for a fool. Well, now he'd pay. She dashed the tears from her cheeks, dug deep again for her anger. Now Blair Bissel was going to find out just what she was made of. She pulled back into traffic and drove at a rapid clip to Manhattan's Upper East Side. The husband-stealing bitch, as Reva now thought of her former friend Felicity Cade, lived in a lovely converted brownstone near the north corner of Central Park. Instead of reminding herself of all the time she'd spent inside, at parties, casual evenings, at Felicity's famed Sunday brunches, Reva concentrated on the security. It was good. Felicity collected art and guarded that collection like a dog guarded his meaty bone. The fact was, Reva had met her 3 years before when she'd helped design and install Felicity's security system. It would take an expert to gain entrance, and even then there were backups and fail-safes that would foil all but the creme de la creme of burglars. But when a woman made her living, her very good living, looking for chinks in security, she could always find one. She'd come armed, with 2 jammers, a beefed-up personal palm computer, an illegal police master code, and a stunner she intended to slap right against Blair's cheating balls. After that, well, she wasn't quite sure what she'd do. She'd just play the rest by ear. She hefted her bag of tools, shoved the stunner in her back pocket, and marched through the balmy September evening toward the front entrance. She keyed in the first jammer as she walked, knowing she'd have 30 seconds only once she'd locked it on the exterior panel. Numbers began to flash on her handheld, and her heart began to race as she counted off the time. 3 seconds before the alarm was set to trip, the first code scanned onto her jammer. She let out the breath she'd held, glanced up at the dark windows. "Just keep doing what you're doing up there, you pair of slime," she muttered as she set the second jammer. "I only need a few more minutes here. Then we'll really party." She heard the whiz of a car on the street behind her and cursed softly as it braked. A quick look back and she spotted a cab at the curb and the laughing couple in evening clothes who climbed out. Reva edged closer to the door, deeper in the shadows. With a mini-drill, she removed the side of the palm plate, noting that Felicity's house droid kept even the screws spotless. Interfacing her PPC with a hair-thin wire, she keyed in a bypass code, waited the sweaty seconds for it to clear. Meticulously, she replaced the panel, then used the second jammer on the voice box. It took longer to clone, a full 2 minutes, but she felt a frisson of excitement work through her fury when the last voice entry played back. "Auguste Rembrandt." Reva's lips twisted in a sneer as her false friend's voice murmured the password. Reva had only to key in the cloned security numbers, then use her tools to lift the last manual lock. She stepped inside, closed the door, and out of habit reset the security. Prepared for the house droid to appear, to request her business, she held her stunner at the ready. He'd recognize her, of course, and that would give her just enough time to fry his circuits and clear her way. But the house stayed silent, and no droid stepped into the foyer. So they'd shut him down for the night, she thought grimly, so they could have a little more privacy. She could smell the roses Felicity always kept on the table in the foyer, pink roses, replaced weekly. There was a low light burning beside the vase, but Reva didn't need it. She knew her way and walked directly to the stairs to climb to the second floor, to the bedroom. When she reached the landing, she saw all she needed to bring her rage back in full force. Tossed carelessly over the rail was Blair's light leather jacket. It was the one she'd given him for his birthday the previous spring. The one he'd hooked carelessly with his fingers over his shoulder just that morning when he'd kissed his loving wife goodbye and told her how much he'd miss her. Told her as he'd nuzzled her neck how much he hated having to take even this quick out-of-town trip.